carry Glocks versus duty Glocks.
Nomad Remnant.
All right. So if someone showed you a Glock like this and said this was their carry Glock, that would be totally normal. Pretty standard carry Glock. Some people prefer not to run lights. On a carry gun, I usually like very much flush lights, or at most you could get away with the slightly longer TLR7 HLX. But this is the preferred, right? Because that way your holster stays flush at this level. You don't have anything extra that you don't need, right? You have a light, you have a handgun. This is the same length the Glock 45, so you could even run this in a Glock 45 configuration, especially if you're running +2s. And I do run that a lot. The one thing about the Gen 6 is the frame is so much lighter that it does feel like this gun is heavier than this gun, oddly enough, and it has the KOA on it. So the KOA, man, ideal optic for just everything. A duty optic, a carry optic. It's small enough but large enough. One of the best options out there. No plates, so you're saving extra weight there. Let's get a duty Glock and compare it to this. Boom. So this being one of my duty options, Glock 45, I do have the KOA. What is nice about running one of these smaller lights, which is actually virtually the same as this, right? I can run this as an EDC. I can run it in my holster. I'm just adding a little bit more weight because A, it's a Gen 5, and B, I'm running a Magwell on there and the Radian. So that's about it when it comes to weight, but significantly massive weight difference between the Gen 6 and the Gen 5. I can run this as an everyday carry, but I don't prefer to, just because it's kind of one of my go-tos. Maybe if I had two of them, I'd carry it a little more often. But I tend to lean towards this being as light as it is, pretty slick. Everything on it is OEM factory, except for the flashlight. And if you want to go a step up, which is what most people do, even though I do see guys carrying guns like this, a step up above this would be something like this, with the bigger flashlight. Some guys are running Surefires. The TLR1, I know guys who do conceal carry TLR1 flashlights. I don't see a need to. If I had a holster to, I probably would conceal it a little bit more often, but you got the extra weight from the full-size acro. You got a Magwell, you got a Radian on there, and a lot of people would probably say, hey man, you shouldn't have a Radian for duty use. I gotta say, dude, I've run my Radians like crazy with a factory OEM spring. I haven't had any issues with them. So I mean, I would trust my gun with a Radian on it. But another option, Glock 47, right, with the same TLR1 footprint, but this one is the Goon Beam, so got a little bit more lumens, a little bit more candela. This as well, if I end up putting on one of those TLR7 HLXs on either one of these, I can conceal them just because that is the holster I have. But this is about as large of a light as I like to go for concealed carry. I don't really see a need in having a bigger light. This is a 1,000 lumen flashlight. And yeah, you have a light, you got an optic. The Gen 6, man, one of the benefits to it is it's light. Doesn't shoot like it's lighter, but it feels a lot lighter in your waistband. One of the last things that I will show is these. So you got the unicorn of Glocks, the 26X or M1X from the Glock store. Probably the best small size Glock that you can carry, besides the 43X, which everyone loves. But what's the benefit of this? It's the same size as a 43X, except you take standard Glock mags. You have a little bit more thickness than you do on a 43X, but this feels quite small if I'm gonna carry a small micro 9. And then if you're gonna scale up a Glock 19 to a duty size, we got the Go Wutah on there. If you haven't seen these, pretty dang cool. But throwing like a threaded barrel on it and another Goon Beam TLR1 footprint, also with the bigger Athena magwell, this is freaking one of the best magwells for not looking and just throwing it in there. But I will say this feels more like my 47, more like the 19X that I showed you with the larger flashlight, and I don't tend to conceal this. I definitely think you could run a flush mag and conceal that, boom. I just think having the extra threaded barrel and having the larger light is just, all it really does is add to discomfort over time. I think you can get away with it, but it's a lot more comfortable carrying with the smaller light and as small of the frame as you can manage it. Looking at this one is a 19 that I carry a lot more. It's a 45 slide, but this is 19 configuration. You can look at the size of the magwells, slightly different, but even this is heavier than my Gen 6. So oddly enough, this 9 and this Gen 6, which is a 45 and a 19, this feels lighter. So weight does play a factor into your concealed carry choice. That's why sometimes I do go with the 26X. Sometimes I run the slick 9 with iron sights. But what I tend to see is that overall, even this and the weight of the Gen 6, we're getting very close. And I end up wanting the largest gun possible with the least amount of weight possible. And that's why I think the Gen 6, absolutely awesome choice. The 19 or the 45, probably some of the best all-around pistols that you could scale up. Flashlights, run smaller flashlights, run no flashlight. So this has been really one of my go-tos for concealed carry. Although a lot of times I still go back and carry the 19. If I want a little less footprint on my body, I'll run a flush mag in there and run the 19 with the Terran Tactical Magwell. A little bit smaller CCW. Even though I love this Vortex Defender, the sight picture on this thing's fantastic. I just wanted to give people an idea who are building out Glocks for maybe their first time is, are you making this Glock your bedside gun, the one that you're going to put in a safari land and go to the range and train with, or are you going to run this gun as a concealed carry? And now I will say that when you're looking at a TLR 7 HLX or even this 7X, they're fine. They're capable light. They're durable, capable. I don't know if you necessarily need the big light. If I was going to start with one Glock that I wanted to do everything with, I would absolutely put the smaller flashlight on there and probably get good with it without a Radian for as long as you can. But the world is your oyster. So just wanted to give you some options, especially for the guys out there who are maybe just starting to get their first gun, starting to think about getting to the range, just bought a safari land. There's a lot of good options on the market. MMPs, you can do very similar things with MMPs. You can go metal frames, polymer frames. The one thing I would just consider is weight, size of your flashlight, and optic wise, whatever optic that you really like, you end up rocking. So optics don't play a big part in whether or not you're gonna conceal it. But I will say carrying with iron sight seems to just be a little one less thing that's on the gun that can poke through your shirt or print. And if you're capable with iron sights, which you should be, then carrying without a red dot is probably the most comfortable thing, just because you don't have anything here on the top that's like can either get bumped, get hit, get damaged, or again, probably make some of the printing a little less likely. I don't see any problem with carrying with a red dot. Most of the time, I'd rather have the capability of a red dot, especially a Koa or the Vortex or something. There's all kinds of good red dots now on the market. The Go Wutah, I think you saw there on the 47, I had the Vector optics. There's tons of good optics on the market, but I would say when choosing your CCW, try to keep it as slick as possible, just because you're going to be more comfortable. When you're more comfortable, you're going to tend to want to carry that bigger gun if you can keep it slick. Instead of going for micro 9 and smaller and smaller guns and then scaling them up, I think your best bet is to go with a larger gun, scale it down, keep it as slick as possible. No magwell, or a minimalist magwell like an SLR or something very slim and thin. That way you keep weight as low as possible. And that's just some of the Nomadic Remnant advice. Appreciate if you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot. And we'll catch you guys on another 2 cents from the Nomad. See you later.